so much wine.
It's early morning. We're now standing in front of the Confeiteria do Bolhão, which is a historic pastry place. Everything lined up in the window looks delicious. We're gonna go in and try it out.
There's a few different options. You can either buy your food and get it to go, or there's actually a restaurant where you can sit down, have a cup of coffee, and enjoy what you just bought. There's table service or takeaway.
Ficou bem legal também. Ficou bem legal. Pode cortar. Quanto mais grosso, melhor.
At first glance, it really reminds me of this bread that my mom makes, which we call stollen. It's more of a dry bread that has a lot of dried fruits in it. This almost has I feel like it's gonna be more moist than what I'm used to with the stollen bread, if you've ever had that. There's a lot of funky looking dried stuff in here.
There's almonds, raisins, walnuts, dried cherries. It tastes like a panettone. Very common in Brazil around Christmas time, similar to what Jen's stollen reference would be.
Right when you walk into Valls Market, there are lots of different fresh fruit stands, dried fruit, and lots of gifts that you can get. Everything from the traditional tiles to tapestries, and even bottle openers shaped like phallic objects.
The great part about this market is you're walking by the fruit stands. We got a mango. They'll actually cut it for you on spot. Delicious, dining and dashing.
As you make your way through the market, it transitions from fresh produce to fresh seafood, fresh meat, and then there's also areas where you can stop and actually have food. There's a lot of people out just having a drink and grabbing some tapas. There's even a second floor which has a lot more produce. It almost seems like the downstairs areas focus more on fruits and the upstairs areas focus more on vegetables.
Kind of like every other market we've been to where they're selling gifts, food, herbs, spices, things like that. A little bit overpriced if you ask me, but I get it. I know why they're here. I do appreciate them, and I feel like we need to have these kind of markets around, you know?
We got olives, so we're happy. I'm happy.
Alright, so here's the deal. We just left the market and we're crossing over Luis I Bridge. It links over to the neighborhood that we're going to ride in below. It's cool because it's a pedestrian bridge and there's also trains that pass it all day, every day. Here's a travel tip for crossing that bridge. If you want to move faster, go on the top. The lanes are wider. If you want to move slower, soak it in, go on the bottom.
Once you get across the bridge, there are a lot of different sellers to choose from. The first one that you'll probably come across is one called Kalem, and then Sandman, and then a few other smaller ones sprinkled along the waterfront. Unfortunately, you likely need a reservation for all of those, and each one ranges from about €5 to €12 for a tour and a tasting. We're on our way to Taylor's Cellar, which you don't need a reservation for, and they have audio tours. They take their last one around 5 p.m., so make sure to get there then. Just when you think you're lost, you turn the bend and there's this beautiful view of Porto, and there's Taylor's.
Alright, tour is very simple. You get one of these, which translates into your native language. You walk the area, you get a tour of the cellar, then you go down for the tasting, where you find these gigantic jugs, and you have to drink all of it. That's only one rule.
Welcome to the home of Taylors. Over the next hour or so, we will tell you the story of our family-owned company, founded over 3 centuries ago.
What I really like about this tour is that you can kind of go at your own pace because it is an audio tour. And right now we're walking towards a very large barrel of wine that holds, how much was it? 1,300.
No, 122,000.
What was that? It holds a lot of wine. It's massive. I personally think this is a very well done tour. I mean, it is extremely intricate and goes through the entire process of how port is made, why it's called port. It takes about an hour to go through the entire audio tour.
Which could actually take longer than that, just exploring the whole process, because they really give you free range, and there's different rooms set up with bottles and barrels and videos, and they show you from the beginning to the end how it's all made.
Not to mention, Taylor's is one of the most prestigious port wine makers in the world. So it's very well done.
Now for the moment that you've been waiting for and we've been waiting for.
Included in the cost of the tour, which is €12, you get 2 free tastings at the end. The tasting at Taylor's happens in this beautiful little courtyard that is covered in roses. There is kind of a fog that set in, so it's not the nicest of afternoons, but it's still quite lovely out here. So the first one we're trying is the chip dry white, served cold, but it's not sweet like you would expect. There's no carbonation. It's just a white wine it has a thickness to it. The next one is a bottled vintage. It smells thick. Kind of made my throat close a little bit, but we'll give it a go.
Very sweet, thick, aromatic, and full-bodied.
You can taste the spirits in it, and that's what port wine is. It's 1 part spirits to 4 parts wine. And
we're on a farm.
There's birds everywhere. Overall, we highly recommend Taylor's for your cellar tour simply because it is extremely educational, especially if you don't know how port wine is made versus regular wine. If you've been to some of the other cellar tours in Porto, let us know because we're curious to see what they're like. Fun fact about port wine, it's called port wine not because it's from Porto. It's actually from,
here it comes.
It's from Douro Valley. The reason it's called port wine is because they brought it on ships to the city of Oporto.
Oh, don't hurt him,
from
Jen.
Douro Valley.
Mind's blown.
That's why it's called port wine.
Facts.
It should be called Douro.
Facts. Some of the best olive oil in the world is actually also made in the Douro Valley. It comes from old ass olive trees. Fact. Okay, so we've shown you places to eat, a market, and a little bit about port wine. But now this really thick fog came in after about 2 to 3 great, not a cloud in the sky days. So we're gonna wrap up our segment.
We're currently sitting over in the Riviera, which is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site.
Overall, we've loved Porto. We would suggest coming for around 2 to 3 days max. The city's fairly small, so you can knock out most of the sites within a day or two.
Do plan on spending a little bit of money here. Most things are not free. And if we had more time, a great day trip from here is to go out into Douro Valley, and supposedly the world's most beautiful road leads you there.
Anyway, we hope you found these videos helpful, so till we see you till Spain.
Yeah, we'll see you in Spain.
Facts. I feel like I should be drinking this with Liberace at the Versace mansion in a white bathing suit. Taylor's was hold on. Taylor, Pinky. I don't know, it just feels like I'm on the set of a Puff Daddy video.